So how do you create a brand that truly represents who you are and the products you sell, as well as building a business that you can scale online? That is what this podcast will help you do. My name is Henry Kaminski Jr., and welcome to the Brand Doctor Podcast.
Let me just make this statement loud and clear. Jersey's here, Jersey's here.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Brand Doctor Podcast episode. Today, we are going to be talking about the best way to sell your services at a premium, as well as how to position yourself as a premium service. I got my man, Oasis Q, in the house. What is going on?
How's it going, Henry? How's it going, everyone?
What is shaking, dude? What a weekend, man. I got to tell you, it was pretty nuts. One of my buddies I haven't seen in a long time had a barbecue. He just moved closer to us. He was living in Brooklyn for a while, and he moved to New Jersey, moved back to New Jersey. So we had a nice little barbecue at his new house, which was pretty awesome. But yesterday, dude, what a crazy day. So my son has been going nonstop all weekend, right? He's got swim class. He's got we went to this barbecue, and my wife notices that like he hasn't been eating like his father. He hasn't been eating like his father lately. So it's like a pain in the ass to get him to eat, right? So maybe he didn't eat as much on Saturday, and my friend had this big bounce house in his backyard, so these kids were going nuts for like 6 hours straight. So we go out to breakfast yesterday, and this is crazy, Oasis. We go out to breakfast, this place called Lake House right in town here, and I'm sitting down, and my son's sitting to my left, and my wife is sitting across from me, and I look at my son. And now my son's usually very energetic like his father, and he's just sitting there in his seat. And I'm looking at him, and he looks tired, like he looks drawn. And then he loses his color. He turns like gray. Like, do you ever see those commercials from like St. Jude, and like, you know, you see the pediatric oncology kid, you know, and you see the kids there, like he turned that color. His lips got like white, not blue, but like white. Yeah. And now I'm thinking this, and my wife looks at him and goes, "Are you okay?" And then she looks at me sort of concerned, like, is he not colored? And I was like, to her, I was thinking it literally at the same time of you saying this. Sure. So she's like, should we take him to the hospital? And so I'm like, well, why don't you give him some orange juice? Let's see how he goes. And we give him some orange juice. He scoffs it down. And then she's like, well, let's go for a walk. Let me see if I could get some energy back up. Like get him, because he was complaining that his legs were hurting him. We were thinking because he was just sore from the bounce house the day before. Right. So he walks, she comes back to the table like a minute later. She's like, we got to go. So we take him to the children's hospital over here in Morristown, and we check him out. And as we got there and they were giving him some liquids and things, like his color came back, his lips came back. And the only thing, like, I got super quiet driving. It's about like a 25-minute drive to the hospital from my house, right? So I'm not saying a word because I don't know what could happen, right? This could get really ugly very quick. So I'm concerned. So we get there, and as the doctor's doing her thing, you could see like his life come back, right? And the reason why I share this with you is because when I was driving home from the hospital after everything was okay, like it really felt like nothing else mattered. Like on the way to that hospital, like I didn't give a shit about anything. All I cared about was my son's health. And it really put things into perspective. And this is why I want to bring this up. Is like, we are so blessed to have our health. Like, let's not forget, if we are not healthy human beings, what could we do? What could we do? So it just put a lot of things into perspective. They gave him right when we were being discharged, they gave him a Hot Wheels and he freaking flipped out. He was so excited for the Hot Wheels. He wanted to go back. He was like, "Oh, can we go back next week?" I'm like, no, this is not a place, you want to frequent.
Can we go back next week? Wow.
But it just put things into perspective. So everybody that's watching, live or listening to this, I just want you to think about that. Like, please take care of yourself and take care of your family and understand without your health, you got nothing. So let's stay healthy and wish everybody a healthy rest of the year and keep it moving. But man, what a scare. So we got back and, then he was eating like a gavone the whole day. He's bananas. And we took him out to dinner and he ate a steak. He looked like a little, like this kid had it made, but thank God. So let's talk about today's, I want to get into this a little bit, today's topic, it's all about selling a premium service. It's all about positioning yourself as a premium entity. And for those folks that are watching live, I really want to encourage you guys to get involved in this conversation. So if you have questions, please drop them in the comments and we, Oasis and I will field them and bring you into the conversation. And so, it looks like Pete has COVID at the moment. Oh man, sorry to hear that, dude.
Hope you recover, man.
Yeah, speedy recovery, dude. So let's talk about some of the problems that prevent us as subject matter experts from selling our service as a premium and or positioning ourselves as a premium. You and I were talking before this live stream about some of those issues, some of those setbacks or whatever you want to call them that get in the way. And we were talking about, there's people telling you, there are people that love you or have been in business with you or have been your fan for quite some time. And they keep telling you, dude, you're undercharging or what are you doing? Like, you're worth so much more than that. You deserve so much more than that. Why are you so cheap with your services? Right? Have you ever heard that one? Right? You fear raising your price because you think nobody's going to buy. I want to raise my hand so high right now. How, when people were telling me, you're doing logos for $50, what the hell are you doing? You're never going to attract a higher quality client if you're doing logos for $50. Sucked. But I was so afraid. I felt like nobody's going to hire me at this price point.
The self-limiting beliefs, man, and it just takes over.
Yeah. What about, we have this little outline here, Oasis. What's this third one here that, you put it in here. So I want you to chime in.
Well, you're going to be perceived as low value. If you're not going to raise your price and you're trying to, you're trying to approach the high ticket clients. Yeah. Well, the high ticket client's going to look at that price and say, well, what are you actually doing for all this? And more importantly, what results are you actually promising me with such a low price?
Yeah, what's a $50 logo gonna do for me? I might as well go out and go to lunch. I go to lunch and spend $50 and probably enjoy the $50 more than that.
And more importantly, I mean, if you're talking about a $50 logo, well, I mean, think about what's being done on that logo, right? I mean, it could be a unique logo, but is it protected? Is it in one way or the other? How are you packaging that? What are you giving to me? Is it just a JPEG file?
Yeah.
Is it, all of those things kind of come into play, right?
Yeah.
So, and then more importantly, from a legal aspect, is that a unique logo or did you just copy that from somewhere and just recreate it?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Like, what am I getting for this? It's so cheap. What's the catch? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And sometimes they don't even give you the time of day. They'll go to somewhere else and pay triple or 10 times the amount because they feel like they're getting the value. And I'm air quoting here, right? So the perception of lower value. How about leading your business with anxiety versus confidence?
Yeah. Same thing. I mean, it's that mindset. And it all starts, I keep saying this, brand is all about hearts and minds, and it starts with your own heart and mind.
Yeah.
You know, so it's that mindset of, if you don't have all of these things that we're going to talk about further in, I'm not going to, jump the gun here, but all of these other items that we're going to discuss here, it all leads to an elevated sense of confidence. And when you lead with that, and you're sitting there in a meeting, you're sitting there, whether you're pitching this, all of these new solutions, getting a good understanding of your clients, or you're now into the negotiation phase, you now have that confidence in the value that you're bringing to that table. So you're not willing to underrate yourself. You're not willing to undercut yourself, sell yourself short.
Yeah. Yeah. Which leads into this next point, lack of profitability and growth.
Yeah.
No, I was telling my team this morning when we had our team call, it's Monday as of this recording. And every Monday morning at 8:30, we sit down, everybody, and we plot the week out, and we goal out the week. And I told the team, I was very clear. I said, I have a very specific goal this week, and it's to roll out the BOD program for existing clients and to really start to strategically roll out the Brand Accelerator program to the public. And I said, we want one or two. We have the capacity for 2 more clients this month. So like, that's our goal.
Yeah.
Right. And so we're not going to be able. So the point that I'm trying to make is the profits that I'm going to get from these clients, they're going to get rolled into reinvesting into the business from a human resources perspective, because now we have a team that's doing a lot of the stuff behind the scenes. And that's how you really elevate your scalability. Right. And I said, it's not like I'm going to take the profits and put it in my pocket and go buy another car. Right? I want to take this money and put it back into you guys so that we can grow this thing, and take it to that next level.
Exactly.
And so, but without that, without those margins, we're not going to be able to do it. We're not going to have the impact on that other agencies or firms like mine are doing. So I got to tell you a funny story. So my wife turns 40 next year, and she gave me a great 40-year birthday party last year. So I'm trying to like top hers, trying to outdo hers. Cause I've gotten super competitive. I got to tell you. So my wife hates secrets. So she says, all right, listen, here's what I want to do, but like, you could plan some of this stuff. I don't need to know it all, but I'm going to at least tell you what I want to do. So what we're going to do next year, probably late May, we're going to rent a villa in the Amalfi Coast, and we're bringing our best friends and our cousins, and we're going to spend a week out there. Right. And awesome. So my cousins speak fluent Italian. I'm like the only one that doesn't speak a second language fluently, which pisses me off. So he taught himself, God bless him. And he was like, you gotta use this app. It's called Duolingo. Big shout out to Duolingo. And so I started practicing my Italian over the past couple of days, and they've updated the app crazy since I used it a few years ago. And so now you could compete with other people that use the app. Oh my God, I go nuts on this thing. Like I was in 3rd place, and I'm like, that's it. Before I go to bed, I'm getting into the first. Oh my God. My wife was like, chill out. I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but my competitiveness is just like coming out of nowhere with this silly app. So anyway,
let's hear some Italian, man.
Now you put me on the spot, right? And which is funny, right? This is a great point. This app is great, but you know what? I still have a fear of being judged because of my broken Italian, just like people have broken English. So I have a confidence thing. And so my cousin, he married a woman from Colombia, and she came here speaking zero English. So when we went out to dinner last night, I asked her, I'm like, how did you get over that confidence thing of speaking English? And she said, I was actually more afraid to speak English amongst my fellow Colombians than I was in front of other English people. And I was like, how? Like, please tell me, because that's my biggest fear. That's my biggest fear. It's like sounding silly speaking Italian. And my cousin was like, oh, you'll get over that. It just takes practice. It just takes a lot of practice. So the whole point of the story is between now and next May, I'm going to go heavy in learning the Italian language so that A, I speak a second language, and B, when I get over there, I could actually, because I've been over there several times already, but it's like, it's tough. Like after like 7 days, you want to come home because you're like, oh, it's such a pain in the ass to communicate, right? Because we go to like all the obscure towns. Like we don't go to Rome. Like we've been to Rome once and we're like, all right, we learned it, right? But like we go to all the obscure towns where like nobody speaks English, and we get it's a whole different experience. So anyway, my goal for next year is to be speaking Italian, not fluently, but good enough where I can carry a good conversation. So anyway, but talk about a tangent run that was. Let's get into, so one last thing that we have here, right? That I wanted to share with you. So I'm listening to this podcast, and it's these two comedians. And I don't want to say their names because who knows what this conversation is going to go, where this conversation is going to go. But there's two comedians, right? And they're both funny as hell. Okay. If you guys want to know who the comedians are, you can DM me and I'll tell you who they are, but they are fun. I don't know who's funnier. They both have an equal level of funniness, but here's the catch. One's worth about 20 million plus, lives in Beverly Hills, but lives in the hills of LA. And the other one lives, like, I don't know where exactly he lives, but I was stalking him out on Instagram, and I was like, does this guy live out of his trunk? Does this guy live out of his car? Like it looked like his house was like holding up with sticks. And I'm like, how could this be? You got one guy who's in movies and charges like $100,000 for 20 minutes. And then you got this other guy who's just as funny, but doesn't have nearly the bank account or the deals that the other guy has. Why?
Do you think that's a result of the way that they position themselves, or it's a result of just a lifestyle choice?
Well, I don't know them personally, and I think that if I had to take a guess, the other guy that doesn't have the money, doesn't look like he has the money. Let's just say that, because I don't know their financial situations.
Yeah.
If I had to ask him, hey, would you have other dudes' life in a heartbeat? I would probably hear the answer yes. Because you could just hear the way they talk to each other. Like he's like, oh my God, if I had that or I had that, I'd be like this. I'd be like, and he actually says it in the podcast. So I don't know if it's a lifestyle choice. I think it comes down to decisions. I think it comes down to effort. And then to your point, I really do think it comes down to positioning. Like the other guy positions himself as, as a mainstream, high-end premium entity. And I don't know if the other guy puts that out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was talking about selling T-shirts like out of his house just to get some awareness. He said, oh, I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it because, it's fun and it gets the family involved. I'm like, if I asked your wife if she wanted to pack T-shirts on a Sunday afternoon to fill orders or go on a yacht for 3 hours in Cabo, like what would she rather do? I'm sure it's not packing T-shirts, right? And so Anyway, I wanted to bring that up today because I'm like, this actually will play nice into what we're going to be talking about today when it comes to selling your service as a premium and positioning yourself as a premium. And so how do we do that? Well, quick little message, and then Oase and I are going to go deep into how to help you do this, to help you skyrocket your profits and start selling your services at a higher price. If you're a business owner who feels your branding isn't truly representing the value that you deliver, check out this free video training that will help you level up your brand's messaging and online presence so that you can start attracting higher quality clients. Visit www.uniquedesignz with a Z at the end, not an S, .net/level up my branding. All right, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, right? Let's talk about how to actually do this. How are we actually going to position ourselves as a premium without fearing the loss of potential clients or the fear of people won't pay because we're too expensive, and just fill in the blanks, yada, yada, yada. So I know you had a question for me, and I'll let you ask it, and then we'll take the conversation there to kick this off.
Yeah, and this is a question for all of the audience that serve other business owners, but I'm going to pitch it to you. So like, as a high performing business owner that has high standards, that probably on multiple occasions, Henry, you probably get approached by other vendors with a very high ticket price. What is it that you value in your business aside from just generating more revenue that, of course, all of us want, right? So in addition to generating more revenue and more profits to in your business, what other things are there that you value?
Well, what comes to top of the list is time. Like, that's the only thing that I can never get back. That's the only thing that I value the most. If I don't have the time to be creative, if I don't have the time to do these live streams, if I don't have the time to do what I am put here on earth to do, then I am not fulfilling my mission or purpose.
Exactly.
And so I'll give you another quick story. So tomorrow I've had this like Ace air conditioner issue going on for like a year now upstairs, where every time it goes on, it leaks down the front of the house. So something's not draining properly. Let's just say that. Now, I could get up there on a ladder and climb 12 feet in front of my house and try to tinker with this thing and have the potential of falling, having the potential of making it worse, and have the potential of losing time, because now I'm doing that and not focusing in on higher value activity, right? Or I could just call the guy. It's going to cost me $125 plus the fix, whatever it is. And I don't have to think about it. I could sit here and do this with you, or work on something else that's going to drive a larger return. So time is my biggest and most valuable asset. So I'm thinking all the time, who can I hire to get this done? And
so you can get back to doing whatever you want, whatever you need to, whatever you want to.
Exactly. So if that means if I have to hire a coach to help me get over myself when it comes to not being able to, or not feeling confident in charging a higher ticket, I'm going to hire that coach. Why? Because I know it's only going to take 1 or 2 clients to make that investment back at max. And then I am going to be equipped to sell at a much higher rate for years and years to come. That's kind of what happened 5-6 years ago. Before my son was born, I was struggling with sales. I couldn't sell myself out of a paper bag. So I hired a sales coach, and he really, really helped me with selling, like really just handling objections and asking the right questions. And so I was able to really strengthen my sales acumen. And then I actually became quite good at it. I think, but I got way more comfortable talking about bigger numbers and talking and having a sales conversation. But I wouldn't have been able to do that without that coach. I could promise you right now, I'd still be making the same mistakes. So
Yeah.
he saved years of time. And a big shout out to Tom Black. Like Tom Black, he's like the OG. He sold encyclopedias in the 80s. But
Wow.
his coaching, the foundational stuff is never going to go away.
Yeah.
If you don't ask the right questions and focus on the right things, you're never going to close the sale.
Exactly. And it becomes second nature to you once you go through that sort of a coaching, whether it be a business coach, whether it be a sales coach, whatever it is. I mean, over time, if you prepare enough, if you continue to go through these exercises enough with that coach, it will now become second nature. So now you're no longer going into that sales situation or that sales conversation with this sort of heightened anxiety. You're able to keep your heart rate down. You know, it just is like, I mean, physiologically it just does an entirely different sort of thing to you, where you're just more laid back and you're just like, okay, well, tell me what's going on in your business.
Exactly. What I heard, I was talking to one of my buddies on Friday and we were having this conversation, and he said to me, Henry, what's that saying? You'll never close an unqualified client.
Yeah.
You'll never close an unqualified client.
That's right.
So why even bother? And there was another thing that I heard. I saw it come through my Facebook feed. It said something along the line is, a bee's wise enough to never waste time.
I've been seeing that a lot.
Right. What is it? How's it go?
A bee's wise enough to never waste time telling a fly how sweet a honey is. Yeah.
Yeah. That honey's sweeter than shit.
Yes.
And that is exactly what we're going to get in today and talk about is why waste your time on unqualified clients?
And I want to add to that.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, go. Shoot.
All right. So I want to add to that because this is something that I specifically added onto my website. And now I challenge all my clients to challenge all my clients to do the same. It's like, okay, yes, tell us about your ideal clients, but then who are the clients that you don't want to work with? And do you have the confidence to actually articulate that in your copy?
Yeah.
And know who it is that don't fit into your business.
Exactly. And when you start to lean into that and own that, you're going to reek of confidence.
Yeah.
See, your audience is going to know right away whether you wear it or not. What do I mean, wear it? Wear the confidence in yourself. Wear the confidence in your product and service. Like, they're going to know. It's going to come out in your language and in your nonverbal way faster than you would ever detect it.
Exactly.
And that's why I really want you guys to get it, because it's so important. We have to own this confidence, which leads us to the next point that we want to make today. It's standing for something. I have to tell you guys to watch this Netflix show. It's called Bo Burnham Inside. So Bo Burnham is a comedian, and he did this. He recorded this thing called Inside, and he put it up on Netflix. It's insane. He said, branding isn't about your product or service anymore. It's about what you stand for. So he was like, he actually made a point. He was like, okay, Bagel Bites, why should I buy your box of Bagel Bites? Right? So it's now like, and then he made the point like Wheat Thins. which is crazy. Talk about like your RAC kicking in, your reticular activating system kicking in over the weekend. I have a bag of wheat thins on my counter, and on the box design it says, "We help build homes." And the Habitat for Humanity logo is on the wheat thins box. That's branding. So wheat thins partnered with Habitat for Humanity and has that on their box design to stand out, to show what they stand for. So this was like, whoa. So my question to you guys is, what do you stand for? What do you stand for? And do you own it? I was telling you offline, my cousin always busts my chops when we go out to dinner. When I'm like, all right, I'm done recommending places. Like, Dion, just pick a spot. And he's like, with you, he's like, I'm always worried about, if it's up to standards or not with you. Because I'm very picky with the restaurants that I eat at. And I'm like, just pick a good spot. You know my taste. But that's the joke. That Henry's not going to go to a dive. If I'm going to spend money and eat a decent meal, like I want to enjoy it from top to bottom, or I'll just eat home. I have a beautiful kitchen. We'll just cook something at home. Like I don't, right? Like, so if I'm going to go out, I want to enjoy it. I want to experience it. Yeah. And so that's the joke, but that's what I stand for. And I'm not apologizing for it.
So what are some of the things that you're unwilling to compromise?
Quality.
What else?
I would say the value. Like the questions that I ask myself is this really going to help me move the mountain? And if the answer is no, then I'm not doing it.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. So, you could sit there and buy all the courses you want and read all the books and listen to all the audios that you want. But if you're not doing things that move the mountain, i.e. positioning yourself as a premium service, then what is it? It's worthless.
Yeah. Not taking action.
No. So I think what it comes down to is really believing in your product, in your service, and in yourself. I was on a sales call this morning. I guess you can call it a sales call. It was kind of like a discovery call. I don't know, whatever the hell you want to call it. But here's a guy that's been doing his thing in his space for 24 years. That's more than half of my lifetime. And he's afraid to charge more than $1,000 for his service because he's afraid that people aren't going to buy it. I go, I wish there was like a rule where for every year you're in business, you're able to charge an extra $1,000.
There was a podcast that I was listening to. Sorry to cut you off, but there's a podcast. He was like, every single time it was the guest. He was like, every single time you close a new sale and bring on a new client, just increase your rates every single time
until you get major pushback.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny you say that. So when I was encouraged to raise my rates, I started at $3,500.
It was around the same.
Right. And then it went to $5,000, and then it went to $7,500, and then it went to $10,000, then it $15,000, then $20,000, then $35,000, then $50,000, then $60,000 plus. Then we had a client a couple years ago. It was a $90,000 engagement, and it was a 90-day project. It was a 90-day project, so 3 months.
Wow.
One client. It's not a, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, you got to start from somewhere, but the sooner you start, the better. And you know, I've had clients in the past. I don't know about you, Awais, but I'm like, why aren't you charging $2,500 an hour? Well, let's never mind hourly billing. We're gonna have Jonathan Stark over here in a second going about hourly billing, right? But let's look at letting the client determine the value of what it is that you do. Have you ever thought about this? And this is why I wanted to get into this conversation. Now this will be a whole nother episode, but let the client determine the value of what you do, but at least you set the minimum level of engagement. What do you truly believe?
What's your base?
What's your base? What's your base?
So what did it do to you, Henry, when, like, you know, I'm familiar with your story a couple of years back, you know, around 2013, 2014, Fiverr started coming out. A lot of these, you know, services started coming out where people can just go in and bid on a specific job, and they're paying $5, $10, $15, or whatever it is. And now you're just getting priced out of that market.
Yep.
What did that do to your belief?
Oh, it crushed it. You know, like I don't want to sound like I'm standing up here on my ivory tower pointing down at everybody saying, you peasants, why aren't you charging more? That is not my positioning. And I'm happy you asked this question, because when all of that started to go down, it crushed my confidence to the point where I said, I'm not going to beat these giants, so I'm going to join them. And I became a Fiverr designer. And I spent 90 days charging $5 for design projects, seeing $90 from PayPal get deposited into my bank account after 17 hours of work. It's like, this isn't sustainable. This isn't sustainable. And I know that I'm worth way more than this. If I don't see my value, how can my clients see my value?
That's right.
And that's what got me out of that hellhole.
Yeah. And how were you projecting yourself at the time? I mean, you know, based off of what you're telling me, you went on Fiverr and you know, you were taking jobs that were comparable in price to whatever people were paying on Fiverr. You know, we're talking about branding, so you know, let's line that up here. How did your brand reflect that? And from a visual perspective, from the way that you were actually conveying that out to people?
Well, it was two things. It was a visual, it was an aesthetic issue, and it was also a messaging issue. So when the straw that broke the camel's back was this woman that paid $5 for me to do a 2-sided business card design, and she dragged me through the mud for 6 hours until she approved the job. So do the math on that.
Man.
I started to pick up some momentum at that point in my business outside of Fiverr. Okay. And I invested $26,000 in a new brand identity. So the look and feel, I spent like my last penny on a new website. Right.
Wow.
Problem with that was the messaging and the confidence wasn't there to back it up. So it was like this hot guy or this hot girl with no personality. Right. And so
all show, no go.
All show, no go. And that was a big waste of money, because I had to go back and redo everything because the positioning wasn't there properly.
Yeah.
You know, they would come to this fancy website and then I'd be like, oh yeah, it's like $100 for a logo. And they were like,
what? All
right, what's wrong with this picture? Something didn't add up. There was like, where's the catch? What's going on? This looks like an award-winning agency, but you're only charging $100. Like something doesn't. And that, again, to your point before, perception of value, it wasn't there. It wasn't there. And it was because I lacked the confidence. I lacked the belief in myself. And it took a lot of mental mindset, personal development stuff. And this is why I always say I tie it back to a lot of internal work. Branding's an inside job, man.
It is.
And it does come back down to what you stand for and to own that. Why are we so afraid of owning what we want in life?
Yeah.
Fear.
I think it's a lack of clarity also.
I think so too.
I think first, and again, both you and I probably have this as part of our process, is at the very early stage before the beautiful identity ever gets worked on, is really helping our clients clarify what it is that they stand for, what it is that they don't stand for, who they work with, who they don't work with, all of those things. So I think it's the lack of clarity in terms of your vision, in terms of where you're, what, again, what you stand for.
Yeah, this is a great point. Yeah, Angel Velasquez says he never did 99 Designs or Fiverr, but listening to this conversation does push you to better yourself and to be a better brand and attract better clients. Yeah, I was branding years ago. I was branding a salon here in Jersey, which turned into a 10 location franchise. And I never forget there was two sisters that ran the business, and they still are to this day. They're go-getters. But she said to me, Henry, they referred me to one of their friends who owned a big event design company. And they were just hammering to this person. You got to use, they call me Junior. My nickname is Junior. You got to use Junior. He's the best. Blah, blah, blah. And I went and I said to Jamie, Jamie, thank you so much for that referral. And she said, Henry, you do amazing work, so you deserve amazing clients. And I was like, I never had somebody ever say that to me before. And that was just like, and coming from a client that was just very reassuring. And here I am, like close to 10 years later. I remember it like it was yesterday. We were sitting there in front of her first location, and we were, discussing what needed to be done. And that's what came out of her mouth. And I was like, I'll never forget that. So Jamie, if you ever watch this or listen to this, I appreciate you still to this day. And, to watch this franchise grow into a multi-location, multi-million-dollar franchise is super, super cool. So, and it started with them, believe it or not, always. They were down in Newark, New Jersey, picking up product for, they were actually, when they first started, they were underneath a plastic surgery center. That's where they started their salon. Yeah. And they were down in Newark, New Jersey, picking up product down in like the Portuguese section. And they saw one of my club flyers on a windshield wiper underneath. And I always put on all my print collateral, I always put designed by uniquedesignz.net. So they took the flyer, it caught their eye. They looked at the website, they went to it, they called me, and the rest is history. We did work for the next 5 years together, and they grew to 10 locations. It was insane. So
that's amazing. I love that story, man.
It is. Yeah. It's amazing to see that growth. And if they didn't believe in themselves and the service that they provide, because they're still to this day much more expensive than your average salon in town. But when you go there, there's an experience, right? They make you walk out of there feeling like a movie star. And they're really good at it. They're really, really good at it. So that belief and the last but not least, before we transition and start to head out of here, is getting out of your own way. I think a lot of people I was telling my team this morning, a lot of the setbacks that we've had in growth were because of me. I couldn't get out of my own damn way. And so, it feels so good to give the authority and the ability to my team, because they've proven themselves over the years to really do amazing work. And for me to stay in my lane, which is create content like this and do what I do best here, and in the strategy seat when I'm working one-on-one with client, is where I belong. Everything else should be outsourced. So, which means you may be at a point in your business where you shouldn't be closing your own deals anymore. Maybe you have a point person that when a lead comes in,
they're taking it.
Close the deal. I was talking, so this call that I had this morning, they're in the same space as, David Ramsey, right? And I was saying to them, like, you think David Ramsey closes his own deals? You think when you sign up for David Ramsey's program that you're going to meet with David Ramsey every time? No. He's got his advisors. He's got his point people that you interact with. Yeah, maybe you catch him in a mastermind meeting or once a month in like a group call or something. But if you want David Ramsey, the minimum level of engagement is, I don't even know, but
yeah.
Right. And I was telling
the same thing with Tony Robbins too.
Same thing. What is it? One-on-one, it's $1 million for the year.
Shit.
So, and these guys pay it, like McGregor and the Williams sisters in tennis. And they pay it all day long. Yeah. It's like $12 for them. But if he didn't ask, if he didn't position himself that way, he wouldn't be the $1 million, transformation guy.
Exactly. And more than that, top of mind awareness is key as well. Positioning is one, but then you got to stay on top. Just like our friend over here, Henry. I guarantee you open up Instagram right now. Tell me if you're not going to see his face show up. I always say it like this. I'm like, open up Instagram right now. Tell me if you're not going to see the brand doctor show up in your feeds.
Well, it's consistency, and I believe consistency builds confidence, and confidence sells, and people buy trust, and they buy confidence, and in that order. So I want to kind of round this. I want to round this conversation out and close it out by asking you guys this question. So, what does success look like to your clients? What does success look like to your clients? And are you focusing in on that when you are speaking to a potential client? Or is it more me focused and you trying to prove yourself to them? See, one of the things that I learned as I was scaling my service to a premium level was it's not about me at all. It's about how the client feels when I am talking to them. And do they feel like I am listening and I am understanding them? So I act as like the fiduciary. I act as the doctor sitting there, truly trying to get an understanding of what is going on. And I'm not trying to steer you in one particular direction or another, because if I prescribe you something, and it doesn't work, then I didn't do the proper discovery, did I? I see a lot of doctors do that. They'll push a drug on somebody and then it won't work. And then now the patient has to come back and they have to figure out another cocktail.
And there's side effects to that.
And there's a lot of side effects. I've seen my father go through many, many different medications for his heart until they finally found one. And it wasn't fun. It was not fun to see my father go through that. So I encourage you guys to really sit down, and that should be the big question for your potential client when you're having that sales conversation. Well, all right, what's success look like to you? And just shut up and take notes, and then start to ask deeper questions. Right? I see Angel here has something I want to highlight. He says, never mention success, but they do like the results I have brought in and the after effect from it. Yeah. So it's always good to share case studies and things like that, but make sure that the focus is on them and make sure that they feel heard. You could do that. It's game over. And then lastly, imagine what life's going to look like for you when you get to work with less people and make a larger impact and more money, because you have really set the standard as the premium, as the obvious choice, as my man Dom Fawcett would say, in your industry. What does that life look like to you? And that's me. So again, I'm a practitioner here. I'm asking you to paint that picture for me, or at least for yourself.
Exactly.
At least for yourself. So here's the takeaway, and here's the call to action that I want all of you guys to do today. I want you guys to either take a screenshot of this and shoot me a Instagram story and tag me in your story if you're on Instagram, or if you're on YouTube or any of these platforms. In the comments, I want to know what the biggest takeaway of today's conversation was for you personally, because we had quite a bit of an audience today, and a live audience today. And I'm sure there's been different perspectives and different thinking behind what it is that we all said today. So I want to get your biggest takeaway. So make sure you screenshot this and shoot me a message on Instagram, in your Instagram story. And then I will respond back and I will repost to give you a shout out on my page. But that's what I want to know from you guys today, because this is a hot topic. And so on Wednesday, so 2 days from now at 2 p.m., Oasis and I are going to be doing some sales role plays. And that is going to be exclusively on my YouTube channel. So I want you to tune in Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern and check that out. That's going to be a sales role play. We're going to be handling objections, and we're going to be batting around some big numbers and see who see who can close who. I'm excited for this.
Here we go.
Well, guys, we got to run. It's 52 minutes. I could talk about this forever. So we got to wrap this up. But I appreciate all you guys, especially the live audience. Keep up the great questions. Keep up the great comments. And I encourage you guys to tune in every Monday and Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern for these conversations, because my goal and Oasis' goal is to help you position yourself as a premium service and to help you sell your product or service at a premium level so that you get more time back. You get more time back to do what you are meant to do on this planet. And that's the deep of it. When you can get that creative space to think, you will make major moves. But when you're working too much in your business and not on it, it's like jail.
It's a glorified job.
Yes. Been there, done that, got a t-shirt, not fun. That's why my bald ass is coming on so frequently and helping you guys, because I don't want to see you go through the same thing I went. So have an amazing day, guys. And I will catch you on the next episode real soon.